What's up, everybody? Down the shore on vacation. Couldn't let you guys get a whole week out in without an episode from us. So we brought in a very special guest this week, the one and only Nick Bain. All right,
yes.
Nick Bain,
AKA Jackie Jr. What's going on, guys?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're great. Thank you for coming on.
Good.
So Nick Bain was born in 2010. All right, he's 15 years old, and it's come to my attention that he just started watching one of the greatest TV series in history that was over before he was born. Nick, tell us about what you just started watching.
A couple days ago, I started watching The Wire. I mean, I'm only a couple episodes in, but as of right now, I mean, I'm really liking it. I think it's definitely off to a promising start. I think it's definitely something I'm going to end up finishing. And I want to see how it plays throughout the whole series.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, besides me telling you that it was one of the best series to ever watch, was there anything else that made you want to try to watch it?
I mean, I guess just like the whole plot of it, like obviously you said it's about like just all like the crime happening in Baltimore, but just the whole like kind of plot behind it. Like I like those shows, like just like the real law shows, like they're interesting.
Okay, so you like true crime stuff, and it may not even have to be a documentary, just dramas with actors that like kind of touch on real things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you know what? Sorry, Nick's too young. Cheers for the 40 years and 40 beers.
I got a code. We're good.
He's not too young for The Wire. That's all that matters.
Now, I agree. So how many episodes in would you say that you are, Nick?
I think right now I'm on episode 5. I've really only been watching like one episode a day, just because if I watch something for too long, I kind of start to lose interest. I want to make sure I'm having like full interest when I'm watching it. So I know
Makes
what's happening.
sense. That's actually a great perspective. So if you watch like 3 or 4 episodes a day and maybe one of those episodes out of the 4 isn't good, you're not as excited to watch again the next day.
It's not that. It's more just I kind of lose the plot and like shit happens. I'm like, how does this tie into the whole show? But like it may have been mentioned in like an earlier episode that I just wasn't paying attention to.
Got it. So your attention span, it's your generation, right? You're 15 years old. You are part of the TikTok generation, the YouTube generation. What I call is like the swipe generation, right? Like you guys are used to watching content for a minute or less. So if you have to sit there and focus on something for 3-4 hours, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah,
exactly.
1 hour a day really gets like, that's your hour. Like you're looking forward to that 1 hour to watch that show.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
you like it more, I mean, it may be too soon to tell, but you like it more from the legal side of it, like the lawyers and the cops piece, or are you also enjoying the criminals and both sides of it?
Well, for me, it's both sides of it because I've always been interested in like law and how that whole system works. But then seeing the other side of like just the whole like crime base of it, like how they really do things to avoid the law and just kind of, like working things out so that they don't get caught.
One question I want to ask you is, again, I haven't watched the series in probably 2 or 3 years, but it's one of my favorite TV shows ever. Now that you're 5 episodes in, I feel like the majority of the main characters have been introduced by episode 5. You have the 1 season mass and he isn't there yet. So for example, the port season, Sabaka is only a character for 1 season, right? Marlowe's a major character later, but in season 1, so McNulty.
You're 75% of the way there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Lieutenant Daniels, right? You have Carver. Who's the white boy who's bald? The other detective.
Dom
Labadarzi or whatever.
Lombardozzi.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But what's his name in the show?
I don't remember.
There's
here's
Carver.
My problem. I only watched it live in 2002 when it aired and never again. So I don't have as good of a memory as you guys.
Okay. All right. So Nick, you're 5 episodes in. How do you feel so far? Who are your favorite characters?
I mean, so far, McNulty's definitely up there. Just the main guy you see a lot. I'm not really like good with the names. So you gotta let me think for a second.
On the criminal side, you have
So 5 episodes in, you have On
You
the
have
criminal side, you have
Avon,
Bubble,
but he's not seen that much.
Stringer.
Stringer
You
was
have
one of my
Bodie.
favorite characters.
Bodie.
Yeah.
Bodie's good. I like Bodie.
D'Angelo.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Barksdale.
D'Angelo is the nephew. He's the nephew. He's the wrong company. Yeah.
Correct.
That's something I like him.
You like him. Everybody likes him. You have Michael B. Jordan, who was a young Wallace at probably 13 years old.
Yeah, he hasn't really like done much yet though. He's just kind of like there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting on the couch playing chess and stuff, right? He doesn't do much yet. Yeah.
They talk about the chicken nuggets, remember? He's like,
Yeah.
What do you think? He gets a percentage? You think Mr. Nuggets going, man, buddy, you're pulling out these nuggets faster than we can make them. He's like, here's a big fat check.
How were you, maybe you haven't seen too much of it yet, but like this aired in '02. I forget what decade it takes place in. Does it take place in real time in '02?
It does. It is. So it actually,
yeah,
it takes place in '02. So you remember the first scene is a dice game in the alley, if you remember. And
yeah, but I'm saying, remember that, I don't know if Nick got this far and I don't want to do a spoiler for him, but like, remember the trick with the payphone? Payphones weren't.
Yeah, I remember. I think it is current time because it does mention how they're not like they're using all the people who are doing like just like the drug runs. They're using pagers. They're not using like actual like cell phones. But then you hear like the police talking about how like why the hell would you use a pager and not a cell phone?
So he's not there yet, Mass. He doesn't. This isn't going to give anything away. You remember this. He's not at the point where they figure out it's about jumping the number.
But I'm saying I didn't feel like people were actively using payphones and pagers in '02.
So I think it was more, and we forget that, Mass. We talked about this before, where we are the generation that experienced both. So we kind of
That's why I'm bringing it up. So I wanted to make sure
2002 was the point where some people had cell phones and some people didn't. Right? There was that transition.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to make sure before I ask my question. I wanted to make sure. Is it weird for you, Nick, to see pagers and flip phones and pay phones and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, not really, just because I've seen shows where they are like present.
Okay.
Yeah, like
but
it's
a
not
pager, Nick. Like you have no idea really what a pager is, do you?
Well, I know like the idea of it, but like I don't know exactly like what it is.
So when me and Massey were 15 years old, we get pagers, and you would actually have to. Every pager had a phone number. All right.
Yeah.
And you would call the phone number, and it would beep, and then you would just put in the phone number you want them to call back on. That was it.
Okay, so it was basically like, so you get beeps, but it's not an actual call. You'd have to go call on the phone.
Correct. So
like
if you were by a payphone, you would have to go to the payphone, call your buddy's pager number, and then you would put the payphone number in and stand there and wait for him to call back.
Yeah.
And it was tricky because if Bobby was paging me out and about, I wouldn't know the number. Like, obviously, I would remember your grandmom's number over time, and I knew if he was paging me from the house. And depending on whether you had the pager turned upside down or right side up, you could spell words with certain numbers, right? So like B-O-B or something like that. But if he was out, like he's saying, at a payphone, I would just have to trust that whoever was paging me was a legit person I wanted to talk to. You know what I mean? Because that was another thing. Like, that was like our version of spam. Like somebody would page you and it would be a fake number, or you would waste your time trying to go to your own payphone and call back somebody who was just teasing you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, here was the other thing. So technology gets more advanced every 6 months, every year, right? That's like you've seen that your whole life.
Yeah.
So we went from having to call a phone number to a pager. It would beep, putting the phone number in, and then text messaging, so to speak, became live. But it wasn't real text messaging. You would call the phone number and it would say, do you want to leave a number or do you want to leave a message? Remember that, Mass?
Yeah. And then
all of a sudden, so then you would say, hey, listen, call me at this number, or listen, we're at this bar, we're at this place, and your beeper would beep or vibrate and you'd get the message. Hey, it's Massey. I'm at this bar. Come meet me here.
There was a human operator intercepting your audio and then hand typing it and sending it to your pager. It was wild. Like that, we couldn't do it we couldn't do it on our own. It's like we would call a number. The operator would either listen to us live or listen to a voicemail of us. And then he or she would type the message and send it to your dad's device on his hip. And it would say like, Massey wants you to meet him at 9:00 at such and such. And yeah, it was wild. That was like the highest phase of a pager. And then we moved into being able to text on cell phones.
So, and here's the other thing, and Nick will never have to deal with this. So we grew up in Southwest Philly, and it was a great place to grow up, but it was inner city. But there were some areas that were worse than where we grew up, like Woodland Avenue. But every month, bud, we'd have to be like, hey, you want to come off to me to Woodland Avenue? Like, why? I got to pay my beeper bill. Like, remember that? You would have to go to the pager store to pay your $6.99 bill.
Cash. And then you'd have to you would buy, the pagers had cases. They had like little chains. Like, you ever see some like emo or grunge kids where they have the long metal chain that attaches their wallet to their belt?
Yeah, I've seen that.
There was a little tiny one that attached your pager to your belt. You know what I mean? So like you could like have accessories and customize it with the little chain, a case. Some of them were translucent and you could see through them. Yeah, it was really, I mean, that part wasn't much different than how it is now. My daughter has a chain on her phone and a see-through case and stuff like that. But the, walk into the store to pay your bill so that it would continue to work, that's hysterical.
And God forbid it was the last day. Remember, it was like you'd be sitting there playing basketball and it would hit you. Like, oh my God, I got to get up to Woodland Avenue to pay my bill. And then parents didn't want you up on Woodland Avenue. So you'd go in there, where are you going? I'm going to get water ice. And then you'd walk up to Woodland Avenue like to pay your bill.
Yeah.
God.
Come back with a house of cheese sandwich, new sneakers.
So I was just talking to somebody about the house of cheese lately, Andrew Henry, and he was saying apparently it's like the same, it's still Jim and Sue. They're still there.
Really?
Yeah.
They got to be in their 90s, Mo.
They do. So, Nick, watching...
Let's get back to the wire. To the wire.
You never had, which I'm grateful for, you never had the opportunity to grow up in the inner city. What are some things you've noticed from like the first 5 episodes where you're kind of like, wow, this is how people live there?
I mean, it's just kind of like, it's not really like houses. It's more like, it's like complexes. There's no like individual houses. Like if you see like, when D'Angelo and like Bodie, when they're all sitting around, you kind of see it's almost like a square wall, like just kind of surrounding.
So you know what that's called? Area. You know what that's called? You have no idea. Where Matthew and I grew up, some people need help, right, with their living situation. It's not a derogatory term. It's called a project.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard like, oh, he's from the projects. Like, I'm sure in this day and age, like you guys probably use that as like putting somebody down. But that's actually like a real thing. That's called a housing project.
Yeah.
Is what that's
and
called.
So the idea is the building almost made a giant circle, and then there would be like a courtyard in the middle. That's where the guys sit on the couch. And so like the no individual house thing is they're all in little tiny apartments. And so you have somebody on top of you, underneath of you, on either side of you.
Yeah.
And so that's where the couch and the chest and all happens is in the courtyard in the center, because like from a selling drug standpoint, you want to be in the center of all that activity. You know what I mean?
Another thing I saw also, a lot of the housing was just, there's nothing, like it's all like vacant. If you see when they're doing like drug runs, like you can see, like for example, I forget whoever Michael B. Jordan played, Wallace. When Wallace runs in, like it's just kind of like there's just this house that has all of the drugs in them.
Called a stash house.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And believe it or not, Nick, like we didn't. Yes, we grew up, and where we grew up at the time, it was awesome. It really was. But there were also some areas that were, interesting.
Blended, yeah. There were
this
middle
is the
class
stuff that,
and then people who were struggling, kind of mixed all throughout Southwest. Yeah.
This is the stuff that went on in our neighborhood. Like you'd have people who would have stash houses places, and they'd be selling drugs. Yeah. But then you had the people living next door who were great members of society, who were volunteers at the youth sports area. It's just, believe it or not, and this is what The Wire does a great thing of, this is a part of everyday life.
Yeah.
Like The Wire does a great job of showing you what everyday life is for a different group of people, frankly, right?
Yeah.
Every season too, because like in season 2, you'll see what it's like for a different group of people, not African American primarily, and dock workers. They're Polish, right? The family's Polish.
They're Polish, yeah. Sabaka.
Yeah, so you see a different culture. You see a lot of Polish people from old age down to like younger guys, like in their 20s and see people working on the docks. And so they're making money in a different way than the drug dealers or the guys running the basketball games and stuff like that. And then I think seasons 1 and 2 might be the main ones where you see that different in a culture and a different way of living and working. I think once we start to see Marlo and Prop Joe and Method Man and all those guys, Method Man from Wu-Tang is in it.
Yeah.
Once we start to see all those guys, I think it gets back to its roots of the projects and drugs and stuff like that.
It does. So, Nick, by the way, Method Man's character is Cheese. Cheese, a great character. And that's the one thing The Wire does a great job of as well, we just talked about. So you go from the inner city, right? Season 1 is drug dealers, cops, right? Season 2 is drug dealers, dock workers, and cops. Season 3, they transition back to the cops, the drug dealers, and now you're seeing local government. You start seeing the mayor, right? You start seeing the district attorney. Season 4, they introduce inner city schools, what goes on in the schools.
Yeah.
It's a very academic telling of what goes on in the inner city. Like, it really is. And you start to realize how lucky you are sometimes living in the suburbs because...
Tommy Colchetti, he's one of my favorite characters.
I love Colchetti.
Yeah.
He was ambitious, very ambitious. Hold on, I froze. It says, there we go. He was very ambitious. But again, it goes back to show you that his whole goal was to be governor. Did he really care about the city of Baltimore? Or was his goal to become mayor, to become governor?
Don't spoil it for him. I mean, that's the demon he was constantly fighting with, but don't spoil it for him. So you're in the middle of season 1?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you met Omar yet?
Yeah, I met Omar I remember, I forget, it might have been like episode 3, but I remember when he got into the one house. I just remember he shot the one guy in the leg with a shotgun.
He's a stick-up guy. Yeah. You'll realize, and as the seasons go on, it's very interesting to hear his perspective on things. About why he does what he does and how he actually has a moral code. Like, there's something later, and this isn't going to give anything away, but there's something in like season 4 or season 5 where he's talking to a cop and the cop helps him out of a major jam because he was framed for something. And he basically says, as bad as a person as I am, I would never do this. A man must have a code.
Yeah.
And the cop actually looked at him and realized he was right, and he helped him out of a jam. Omar is one of the most interesting series characters, in my opinion, in the history of television.
Yeah, he's great.
So is Bubbles. I told you I love Bubbles.
Gay? Is Omar gay in The Wire? I forget.
Yes, Omar's gay.
Yeah.
But also...
He played a great character.
Played an unbelievable character. Bubbles. The transition of Bubbles from episode 1 to the last episode of the series.
The finale, yeah.
Incredible thing you will ever see. And as much as The Wire talks about the bad things that are happening in the city, the bad things that happen in the police department, they show this 30-year drug addict go from having no hope in his life to eventually succeeding. And it's one of the most incredible things you ever... Like, you pull for this guy the entire series.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Like, no matter what happens to Bubbles, you pull for him the whole time.
In the world of the show and on screen, he's way, way more than a homeless guy. He's way more than a drug addict, and he's way more than an informant, right? So, and he's like the only informant I've ever seen on television or in a movie who's not a scumbag, rat, snitch, loser. Like, he does it in such a good way that, yeah, like your dad said, like he's definitely somebody you wind up rooting for and want to see do good.
It's so funny you say that, Mass. If you remember, the first time that Greggs and McNulty pull over Omar in the cemetery. Remember? They have that parlay in the white van. And even the criminals respect Bubbles. Don't you remember Omar goes just nonchalantly, he's like, come on, man. Your snitch know who Bird is. Bubbles can take care of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see them both look like, how do you know who our snitch is?
Yeah.
And Bubbles never got fucked up because of that.
Because I think he was honest with everybody. Like, I'm going to tell what I see. And yeah, I mean, I think they don't show it to you, but I think like Omar wasn't the only one who knew what Bubbles was doing. And I think because Bubbles was honest about it, it never really became a problem for him.
No, it didn't.
So we talked about what made you watch the pilot in the beginning, but what made you come back for the second episode? After you got through the very first episode ever, what did you say to yourself about why you wanted to keep watching it?
So it was just kind of, there was nothing really that motivated me. I just felt that the show was interesting. Like, especially after the whole thing with D'Angelo and the courthouse, I just kind of wanted to see how everything played out because I knew it was pretty obvious that he did do it, and we found out that he did kill the person. But I just wanted to see like how like what would end up happening with him, and like if he would ever end up getting arrested again, or if this is just kind of like he just go back to the life he was living with his uncle.
Okay. And then are you seeing like some episodes are better than others for sure, and when you go that long, it's hard. Even Sopranos, that, they have some episodes, like I really can't stand the Pine Barrens, which is not a popular opinion. But in any event, not every show is going to have a phenomenal. Say it again?
Because you're an idiot. But anyway, go.
We're gonna get into that in a second.
The greatest comedic drama episode of television.
No. But I also prefer Godfather 3 over 1 and 2. So I'm not on the popular side of the opinion. In any event, are you finding moments or pockets like that in every episode that keeps you coming back? Or do you feel like now you're locked in and you have to commit to it?
I just feel like I'm kind of have to just commit to the show at this point. Yeah. Like whether like if there's like a rough episode, it's just kind of, I mean, just of what my dad has said, like it's really good. I feel like even though there is a rough episode, I feel like it's definitely like it's gonna get better. Like it's not. Sure. Every show isn't going to have, like, each episode isn't going to be, like, amazing. Like, obviously, there's going to be some episodes where you're kind of, like, sitting there, like, I really want this to end. Like, I can't watch this anymore. But they're not all going to be, like, amazing. There's got to be something. Even if you don't like it, there has to be episodes that have to, like, contribute to the plot. Like, they can't just go off the rails so you enjoy what you're watching all the time.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why they make chocolate and ice cream. But it's one of the best television shows ever made in history of television. So
at a young age, Nick has actually kind of cornered the way to watch series, right? You and I talk about this all the time on the group chat. We talk about new shows that we suggest all the time. And usually there's one of us going, guys, listen, the first 2 or 3 episodes where they're trying to like all the series out is rough. Once you get through that, it's incredible. And usually that's the case, right?
Well, I think that's what separates the okay series from the phenomenal series. I didn't feel that way about From. No, it's all good. I didn't feel that way about From. I didn't feel that way about The Sopranos, Game of Thrones. I feel like the top 5 or 10 television shows of all time, you didn't have to wait till the middle of season 4 for things to get good.
You think?
But the only one I wasn't crazy about was Breaking Bad. I couldn't get past the pilot for several years. And then one day I sat down and I forced myself, and I felt like it eventually started to pick up speed. And then I was hooked. And then I was watching him in the car on the ride home from work, and I couldn't stop. And I wound up loving it. But for a very long time, I couldn't get past the pilot. That's not normal with what everyone considers the greatest shows of all time, like The Wire or The Sopranos or Game of Thrones. I don't think that's common. I think that's where you get the mediocre ones. Like, we've watched all that other stuff a million times, and now we're dying for something else to watch. And then somebody recommends something that's mediocre, and you have to force yourself to stick with it. But like, I don't think that's the intent of the director and the actors. Like, they don't want the first 3 seasons to be a wash before it starts getting good. Like, sometimes that's just how it is.
No, but you have to develop. And what you just said to me was very interesting. And I'm curious about Nick's perspective as a younger series watcher. So every series I've loved, I knew within the first 5 minutes, I went, oh, this is for me. Perfect example. All right, The Wire. As much as I love The Wire, that first 5 minutes where McNulty's talking to the kid on the step after the dice game, and he's like, say, what's your buddy's name? Snot Boogie. Right? And McNulty starts going, Snot Boogie? What do you mean? He's like, this poor kid, his mother went to the trouble of christening him Omar Epps or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Because he's like, kid forgets his coat one day, has the sniffles. Instead of somebody offering him Kleenex, some asshole calls him Snot Boogie and it sticks. So that's one. When I was watching that, I was like, you know what? This is for me. Breaking Bad. All right? You turn it on. The very first scene is the RV coming over the hill and Walter White running out in his underwear. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy. The first scene is Jax Teller riding his motorcycle down a road, and there's 5 or 6 guys on motorcycles coming the other way, and they start shooting at him. All 3 of those shows, within 5 minutes, I went, there's no way I'm not watching every episode of this.
Never seen Sons of Anarchy?
You've never seen Sons of Anarchy?
I've never seen Sons of Anarchy. Now, here's the problem. I walked into the garage one day when Uncle Dave was watching the series finale, so I know how it ends. But, like when he's riding away on the bike and they're playing Styx Renegade in the background and all. But I've never, it's like with Breaking Bad. Like, I came into Breaking Bad. I watched Breaking Bad for the first time in 2024. I came in very late with that. I feel like I have to get to it at some point. It's not because I didn't like it. I noted it.
This up so you can edit. So in your watching of The Wire so far, which is the show pretty much ended before you were born.
Yeah. I was shocked.
Do you kind of feel like the shows that I've told you about, and Massey was talking about earlier, are these shows that were they better years ago than they are now? Are people just trying to turn out content?
It all depends on how you look at it. So I don't watch shows that much. This is The Wire is kind of one of the first shows I've watched in a while. I watch a lot of movies. I'd say, so more recently, I think the movies this generation, from the 2010s, I think movies currently are better. I think the movies currently that are being made, for example, Interstellar. There's movies like Interstellar, Whiplash. I think they're amazing, all made in the 2010s. But I think the shows from back these in early 2000s, I think they're just better quality. They're not really rushed and they have a better plot to them.
Do you have any examples besides The Wire? Is there anything you've watched that's older that you really like?
I mean, older. I mean, I've watched for example, miniseries. I watched Band of Brothers. I thought that was 2001. I thought that was amazing.
That was Nick. So it's so funny you say that. I was 19 years old when that came out. It's one of the greatest series ever in television history.
Yeah, people don't rank that. I think because of the documentary aspect and the true story part of it, people don't rank that up there with Game of Thrones or Curb Your Enthusiasm. But it was phenomenal. But that's interesting because Sopranos is the only show I have committed in terms of hours, right? So Sopranos was 86 hours, 86 episodes. It's much more difficult to keep up a high quality story and character arcs for 86 hours than it is for 90 minutes, right? So the point you're making about the movies today are better because it's an hour and a half. You know what I mean? You don't have to spend 86 hours over the course of a decade and keep that momentum going. So that makes a lot of sense.
So Matt, that goes back to my point, and I wonder if Nick agrees. Their generation is the swipe generation. Is it much easier for them to watch a movie than to commit to 6 seasons? I think that's what it is.
Well, it depends. For me, a lot of my favorite movies are long. For what I was saying, Interstellar, that's 2 hours and 45 minutes. I've watched Wolf of Wall Street, which is really good. It's 3 hours.
Yeah, well, that's Scorsese, and Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, but that's a good point. But that's still, a whole 86 versus 3 is still a major difference.
Yeah. We can do an entire episode on Wolf of Wall Street, believe me.
I think Nick just got invited back to do just that. We might all have to watch it and brush up on it. That's
Yeah,
such
we
a
will.
fantastic. Did you hear? I was watching. They said Mark Wahlberg and Martin Scorsese had a horrible time of filming The Departed. They didn't get along. They couldn't stand each other. He didn't want to do it. He was filming, what was the South Philly football movie? He was filming that at the same time.
Invincible. So it
Invincible.
actually wasn't, and Wahlberg admits this. He never felt that he had the ability to be in a Scorsese movie. So all of the the tension was basically Marty being Marty. Being the great director he is. It was Wahlberg, I'm not doing you a service, and Marty was always getting frustrated going, and that was the whole issue apparently. It wasn't that they hated each other, it was they were frustrated because Wahlberg never believed the acting credentials to be in a Scorsese movie.
I don't see that on film. I think he did a great job. I mean, yeah, an hour later, Ted came out and he's fucking smoking weed with a bear. I get it, but
That shows his versatility. That shows.
like I'm saying, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought he was perfectly fine in that movie. I don't want anybody to get in trouble. Enjoy vacation. Nick, it was great talking to you.
Hey, you too.
We're doing a Wolf of Wall Street next. I don't know when that's going to be, but maybe after your dad is done punishment, we could schedule that one.
Hey, we want to thank Nick Bain for joining us. Had great insights. Gen Z, right? The Gen Z generation. We love the fact that he's embracing nostalgia and watching really good TV shows. Thank you so much for being on. We can't wait to have you on again. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Nick. See you guys later.
Same.